And we are back. Welcome to my preview and predictions for Premier League Game Week 34. I'm doing this for the second time because unfortunately my microphone disconnected midway through the recording earlier, so apologies for this video being a little bit late, but that is why. Before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you haven't done so already, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications turned on if you're new around here, because we have got a whole week of predictions coming for you. After this one today, we've got the FA Cup semi-finals coming for you tomorrow morning, Champions League semis on Monday, Europa League on Tuesday, Conference League on Wednesday, Game Week 34 of the Premier League Part 2 coming on Thursday, and then Premier League Game Week 35 coming for you next Friday. And of course, Manchester United post-match reactions as well. So make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the good stuff we've got coming up for you. As for this week, there are just 7 games taking place in the Premier League this weekend because of said FA Cup semi-finals. After a week where, I'll be honest, I am still a little bit annoyed because I reckon we could have got 8 or 9 out of 12 last week. However, due to the amount of stoppage time goals, we ended up only getting 5 out of 12. So I feel a little bit hard done by, but that is Premier League football. That is why it is so hard to predict, because there is just so much drama in this division. And speaking of drama, both the Premier League champions and the final team to be relegated will probably, if not definitely, be decided this weekend. So let's just get straight into it with the opening game this weekend, which sees Chelsea taking on Everton. And speaking of those late winners, which cost me results last week, Chelsea were the beneficiaries of one of those late winners with Pedro Neto's 93rd minute winner away at Fulham, which gives them still with a chance of qualifying for the Champions League next season. Everton were on the receiving end of some of those late goals, 2 late goals from Manchester City, meaning they lost 2-0 at home. And look, the position that these two sides are in, realistically, Everton aren't playing for that much other than just position in the table or basically to stay 13th, because the gap to 12th is so huge that it's unrealistic Everton get higher than 13th. For Chelsea, they simply have to win this game. Arguably, this is Chelsea's easiest fixture left for the remainder of the season, and they have to win it if they want to have any realistic chance of qualifying for the Champions League next season. In terms of the team news, Chelsea could be struggling at right back. Reece James going off with, we don't really know what, at half-time last week. And then Malo Gusto picking up a hamstring injury in the second half, meaning he went off as well. From what I'm reading, it looks like Reece James should be available for this one, but one to consider. And also, it looks like George could be pushing for a start following his goal away at Fulham last week, although I suspect he'll be saved for that Conference League semi-final. No fresh injury concerns for Everton. Finally, in terms of the head-to-head record, it was a 0-0 draw back in December, but Chelsea won this fixture at Stamford Bridge 6-0 last season, following 2 previous draws from Everton. So there is definitely a chance that Everton do get something from this game, but given how desperate it is for Chelsea to get a result if they really want to get in Champions League next year, I am going to go for them to just about edge this one out. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Chelsea, but don't be surprised if Everton get themselves at least another draw from this one. Next up, it is Brighton taking on West Ham, and both of these sides are now 6 games without a win, following poor results again last week. Brighton lost away to Brentford and got blown away by Brentford in the end. That means they're now 9 points off those European places with just 5 games to go. Realistically, their European dreams are over for this season. For West Ham, they are 17th after drawing at home to Southampton to yet another one of those last-minute goals, a stoppage-time equaliser from Southampton, making sure that West Ham didn't end their run of games without a win. Coming into this, though, they do have a very good record against Brighton. They've drawn the previous 2 games and actually won their previous away fixture to Brighton. So I think there is definitely a chance West Ham get something from this game, especially when you consider how many players are going to be missing for this one for Brighton. One player we know is definitely missing is going to be João Pedro. He finally got a red card for violent conduct after several attempts at getting himself sent off over the course of this season. But also Van Hecke looks like he's going to be injured once again following a concussion, which saw him have to go off last week. For West Ham, Wan-Bissaka is a doubt. Evan Ferguson will definitely miss the game because he's on loan from Brighton and cannot play against his parent club. Fulkrug says that West Ham need to show some sort of response after what's been a really poor season for them. I think they are going to get something from this game. I'm not fully convinced it's going to be a win though. I'm going to back both teams' winless runs to continue by going for a 1-1 draw. That result would mean that whatever happens at St James's Park, Ipswich Town will be relegated back down to the Championship, because as things stand, with 5 games to go, Ipswich are 15 points behind West Ham, meaning West Ham have to lose every single game for the remainder of the season, and Ipswich have to win every single game for the remainder of the season, and there's a hefty goal difference to take over as well. But, like I say, West Ham draw at Brighton, then Ipswich are relegated no matter what happens in this game at St James's Park. And to be honest, I don't think it's looking good for Ipswich. They lost 4-0 to Arsenal last week, and they also had Leif Davis sent off in a tackle that's kind of been blown way out of proportion. It was a red card. There's nothing more that needs to be said about it, but it was a red card challenge. But it also means that they are just in a really bad position in terms of the table, in terms of their squad. They also have 8 first-team regulars that are not going to be back in time for this match. Whereas Newcastle, okay, they did also get hammered last week by Aston Villa, a 4-1 defeat, which probably could have been 6 or 7, with Villa hitting the woodwork 3 times on top of that. But Newcastle still sit in 5th position. They have a game in hand on Manchester City to go back above them in the Premier League table here, which would see them go back up to 3rd and put them in a really, really good spot for those Champions League places. But they themselves have lost a key player. Fabian Schär picked up an injury following his goal last week, and he could miss the remainder of the season because of it. So that does leave them a bit light at centre-back. As things stand, it looks like it'll be Emil Kraft and Dan Burn that play centre-back for Newcastle. But ultimately, against an Ipswich side that they've already beaten 4-0 away from home, I think nobody's going to be surprised when I go for a Newcastle win here. I'm going for 4-1 to Newcastle. Ipswich, I just do not see them surviving this weekend. Whether it's by losing this game or whether it's by West Ham getting something at Brighton, I think the season will be over for Ipswich come 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Then we have Southampton taking on Fulham. Again, I'm going to mention those late goals. Southampton got a late equaliser against West Ham. Fulham conceded a late winner against Chelsea, ruining both of my predictions regarding these teams last week. But at least for Southampton, it gives them something else to fight for, because it now means they're level with Derby in terms of the record, meaning that 1 more point for Southampton means they won't be the worst team in Premier League history. And look, they've got a chance of doing it against Fulham because, let's be honest, Fulham have lost 4 of their last 5 games in the Premier League. Bizarrely, their 1 win was against league leaders Liverpool, but they have lost the other 4 over the last 5 games. And Southampton also got a draw away at Fulham earlier on this season. So there are definitely causes to say that Southampton can get a result here, but I do still think Fulham will believe that they've got a chance of Europe. They're in the same position as Brighton. They are 9 points behind those European places with just 5 games left. But we know Marco Silva is a very determined manager. He will do everything to get the most out of his players coming into this game. It looks like Emil Smith-Rowe and Rodrigo Muniz could miss this one due to slight knocks picked up last week. There are no fresh concerns for Southampton. I still think Fulham get the win here. Watch this space though. Southampton are still fighting for that final point that they need to avoid that record. But I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Fulham. I just think defensively Southampton just are not at it this season. And Fulham do have a very strong attacking side at the moment. Speaking of strong attacking sides, Wolverhampton Wanderers are now the best team in the Premier League. And that cannot be argued because they have won their last 5 matches in a row and are the only Premier League side to win their last 5 matches in a row. They are quite literally top of the form guide, absolutely flying. If Vitor Pereira took over at the start of the season, Wolves would be 6th in the Premier League table as things stand in the European places. That's how much of an impact he has had since coming in. And the top team in the Premier League right now is playing the bottom team in the Premier League right now. Because where Wolves have won their last 5, Leicester have only managed 1 point from the same number of games. But, to be fair, it was away to Brighton, so who knows, maybe they could get something here. But I just think the week that they've had with the relegation, with the news that Vardy's leaving, with the expectation that Van Nistelrooy's leaving at the end of the season, I just think morale is absolutely through the floor at Leicester at the moment. They need the summer to come. They need the reset. And I think against a side like Wolves that are playing some brilliant stuff at the moment, against a side like Wolves that have already beaten Leicester 3-0 at the King Power earlier on this season, I don't see there being any other result than a Wolves victory here. One thing to note, Wolves could still be without both of their usual goalkeepers, with Sarr and Johnston both missing the game last week. But Bentley got a clean sheet at Old Trafford anyway, so I don't think that's going to be too much of a concern. No fresh concerns for Leicester. I'm going for a 4-0 victory to Wolves. which then takes us to one of the sides I just spoke about, Manchester United, who will be travelling to Bournemouth this week. For Bournemouth, it's still not been a great run of form for them. They're now 8 points off the European places after drawing 0-0 against a 10-man Crystal Palace last week. Yes, there was a lot of controversy around that game, but Bournemouth have missed another opportunity to get themselves back into serious contention for those European places. But the good news for them is they're now coming up against a Manchester United side who simply do not care about this game and only have 1 point from their last 4 Premier League games anyway. Manchester United's priority is absolutely playing against Bilbao on Thursday night. They're not going to want any of their key players to get injured. And we know when Manchester United aren't fully focused on a game, they are absolutely woeful. Furthermore, Bournemouth have beaten Manchester United the last 2 years at Old Trafford by a scoreline of 3-0, obviously including the game earlier on this season. There are so many reasons to go for a Bournemouth victory here. They also have the majority, if not all of their first team players back other than Ryan Christie. It's a real opportunity for them to get themselves back into this fight if other teams do start dropping points. What I would say, one thing that you can put in favour of Manchester United in this game is that firstly, there is actually no pressure on this game now. No Manchester United fans expect United to win this game. No Manchester United fans care if United win this game. So for the first time in a very long while, there's actually no pressure on Manchester United, which might mean they put in a pretty good performance and get a result, especially given the fact that they haven't actually lost at Bournemouth since 2019. Their away record at Bournemouth is a good one. But all logic says that Bournemouth should win this game. So I am going to go for 2-0 to Bournemouth. But do that with an ear of caution. I can definitely see United getting something here, but that might just be my Manchester United bias. And then finally, the main event of the weekend sees Liverpool taking on Tottenham, where all Liverpool have to do is get 1 point and they are Premier League champions. They have got 5 games left. They have got a 12-point lead to Arsenal, but Arsenal only have 4 games left, meaning that if Liverpool don't lose every single game for the remainder of the season and Arsenal don't win every single game for the remainder of the season, Liverpool will be crowned Premier League champions. If you want a whole list of reasons as to why I think the Liverpool will be crowned champions this weekend, here we have them. 1. Liverpool don't have the pressure of winning this game. If they draw, they're champions. That means they can play with freedom and will most likely mean they win. 2. Everyone is fit for Liverpool, apart from Joe Gomez. Every single one of their first team players are back and fit other than Joe Gomez, so they've got the whole team to pick from. 3. They haven't lost at home to Spurs since 2011. They have a very good record, so you'd expect them to get another one here. 4. Spurs have been absolutely shambolic in their last 2 Premier League games and have lost them both and are 16th in the Premier League table. 5. Liverpool won 6-3 in the reverse fixture at Spurs earlier on this season. 6. Spurs are going to rest all their key players because they're in the Europa League semi-final on Thursday night. 7. All of Tottenham want to be the reason why Arsenal didn't win the Premier League. Spurs can say, oh no, we lost to Liverpool, but it means that now Arsenal can't be champions. It was us, it was us, it was us. It's like the City game last year. All Spurs fans want Liverpool to win this game. So, look, I just don't see any other result than a Liverpool win. There are so many reasons why Liverpool are going to win this match. There could be a chance that the likes of Heung-min Son and James Maddison make their returns for Spurs here. Again, with the intention of giving them legs, giving them a little bit of match sharpness before that Europa League semi-final on Thursday night. But let's be honest, this game is going to be a celebration game for Liverpool. If Spurs win it, I would be absolutely stunned. I'm going to go for 4-1 to Liverpool. The title race will end at around, well, probably about 10 minutes in to this match, let alone full time on Sunday evening. That will conclude today's video. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know anything you think I've missed. Thank you very much for watching as always. Don't forget to subscribe to miss out on any of these predictions we've got coming up over the next couple of days, which of course start with tomorrow morning's video around the FA Cup semi-finals. I'll see you there.